Well, hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Empire Secrets. I'm Mariana Henninger, and this is the podcast for established online business owners. If you are a heart-led, mission-driven, impact-driven coach who knows they are brilliant, who knows that they can get their clients amazing results, and yet you feel like it's hard to stand out. Why do I have to be tethered to social media to get people to listen to me? Why does it take 6 to 12 months of posting all of the time, millions of pieces of content in order to build trust? Well, this is my business. This is the podcast that will show you how to do that differently, how to build trust faster. And on this episode, it's an Empire Diaries episode, which means you get a behind the scenes look at my business as I'm building Brand Magnetic to a 7+ figure business and brand. And I want to talk today about something that I've been calling radical authenticity. Now, authenticity is a major buzzword. We have all been hearing it every single day for the last probably 2 years. And I can't help but think that buzzwords, unfortunately, get a bad rap. We get tired of hearing them. We don't really pay attention to their meaning anymore sometimes. And yet, authenticity is often also misunderstood, where people think that authenticity is just sharing everything and being completely transparent. And I'm not advocating for not being transparent, but the idea that authenticity really means speaking from the heart and showing people who you are without having to pretend to be something else or somebody else. But the reason I am adding the word radical to the word or the concept of authenticity is because I've made a major shift in my business. So today I want to dive into the shift that I made in my business. It has to do with AI, probably not in the way that you think. And it has been a total game changer for me. And I'm just going to dive right in. So I was inspired by a podcast that a friend of mine shared with me maybe about a week and a half ago. So we were talking about the importance of ICA calls and structuring our programs. This is in a peer sort of mastermind group that I'm in. And one of my buddies there who is really successful, he blew it out of the park. I think he hit 100K on Black Friday, or at least in the month of November. And he was sharing about how he had listened to this podcast with Nathan Barry, the creator of Kit. And so on this episode, which I'll link in the show notes if you want to take a listen, I found it fascinating. This guy, Tim Grahl, who is the co-founder, I believe, of StoryGrid, he shares the trajectory of his business. So the story kind of begins when his business is doing about K, and this was about 2.5 years ago, I believe. And now he's doing over 2 million. And so the title of the episode is around the mindset shift that was required to go from K to 2 million. But to me, it's less of a mindset shift and more of like the thing that he actually did. And so I'm going to tell you what he did. That was kind of the pivotal thing that led to this transformation. By the way, at 700K, Tim was not taking home a paycheck, which is insane, right? So if you think about how you're structuring your business, one of my core principles and values as I'm building my business is lean, mean, profit machine. And that sounds scary and that sounds bro-y, but it does not mean I don't pour into my people with so much heart. So I love them to death as if I was doing it only, for free because I love them so much. But in terms of the people that I bring on to my team, in terms of especially hiring costs, which I think can really escalate very, very quickly, I am lean and mean. And I am very adamant about every single person with every single hour that they are paid are actually building something that has ROI in the business and that has a very important function in my business. And that function might be it's taking something off my plate where I can focus on biz dev and relationships and lead gen and all of that stuff, and also delivery right now. So anyway, back to the story of the podcast. Tim had an epiphany. I mean, again, he had to like kind of stop and fix his business, because he wasn't taking home a paycheck, I think, for over a year. And he decided to ask for help. And he spoke to a marketing person, I'm not sure, some sort of advisor. So she took a look at his stuff, his business, right? She took a look at his website and his emails and inside and out. And the diagnostic or the sort of instructions that she gave him were that he did not know his people enough, that his messaging was off. And the way she said to fix that is, I hope and pray that you already know the answer to this, because the best way to fix your messaging is to speak to your people. Define exactly who they are and actually get on Zoom calls with them and on the phone with them and record those conversations and transcribe those conversations and analyze those conversations, pick the gems, and then actually use the gems in your marketing so you can attract that person. And so Tim took her advice and went out and started making these ICA calls. And lo and behold, he talks about how when he starts something, he just doesn't stop. He's kind of a machine, unless you tell him to stop. And so he had no idea how many calls to make and was just given this advice, like, go and talk to your people. And so he started making the calls and he did not stop for a year and a half. This man took time aside in his calendar, cleared his calendar, and started inviting people in that were either his current students, his prospects, people that fit the category of people. And I think he works with writers. And I'm not actually clear if it's and it doesn't matter. The people who would be perfect for his program, right? He talks to them to the tune of 600 calls in 18 months. 600 calls in 18 months. And that number blew me away because I have a friend who started her business from nothing. In fact, I take a lot of pride and I have gotten so much gratitude from her because I was the one that brought her into the online business world. She is a fantastic documentary cinematographer. And so when she started her business, she didn't have anything, right? She didn't have an email list. She didn't have a following. The one thing she did have was clout in some of these Facebook groups where our peers hang out, and people knew her name and they knew that she was high caliber, but that was it. And so the thing that she really leaned into at the time was making ICA calls. And I believe her number was like 50 or 60. And so that number generated a massive amount of income in her business because she was able to convert so highly from those calls and have such perfect messaging that spoke to her ideal customer right where they were at. And so I was already blown away by the power of ICA calls. And then here I am hearing this guy who did 600 of them, about half an hour each. And I was just like, wow, I love that so much. And that's what really transformed his business from one that where he was losing money or wasn't making any money for himself, zero profit, and to go from that to $2 million, obviously profitable and much happier. So that ties into radical authenticity. How, you might wonder. And that is this. I have taken a massive step back from using AI in my business. And the way that's played out is that I look at AI as a partner, but not as a creator. And what that means is that I have completely walked away from using AI to write language for me in a way that's remotely substantial. And what I mean by that is that AI is not writing my posts anymore. AI is not writing my emails anymore. And the reason I did this was because I felt that even though I still get so much praise for my emails, like people really love my stuff and they would never, I literally heard this from people saying, I had no idea you were using AI. But I was, and I was massaging it afterwards quite a bit. But I still felt like my brain and my creativity were losing its sharpness. I was losing my muscle, my writing muscle, my creativity muscle, my thinking muscle. And I feel like I was overly reliant on AI to speak my own voice. And so AI has moved from the role of creator to the role of partner and collaborator. And what I mean by that is that I no longer use AI to help me even get started. Like I have forced myself and have gotten back into the flow of brain dumping my ideas so that I'm looking at something that came from my heart. And sometimes I'll throw that into AI and see where I can improve. Sometimes I don't throw it into AI and I send it. And with that has come such a fantastic liberation, such an amazing way to feel connected to my people again. And the way it connects back to the ICA calls is because I am making more ICA calls, bringing them back into my system. Like I want to talk to my people every week. I want to have multiple calls on my calendar where I am speaking to my ideal client. And I have really started niching down even more so. So I've always kind of talked to in my own business, right? So I've always kind of talked to online business owners. So kind of general, right? You can be a coach, a course creator, service provider, the idea that you sell your expertise online. And that's still true. But I have found that the people that I want to attract to my program are a specific type of people and they're in a specific moment of their business. And so, in terms of the type of people, that specificity has come from understanding that they are incredibly mission driven. They really, truly, like very, very deeply care about their people. And yes, they want to make money, but that is not the first goal of their business. They want to make money as a result of doing this thing that they just can't not do. And that is the thing that they're incredibly passionate about, that they're calling. And so those are the people that not only are best suited for my program, but that I absolutely love working with because I resonate with that. That is what I'm doing. Like, yes, I want to make money, and yes, I will make money, and I have been making money. But the idea is that that is secondary. That is a result of getting people results. And what I'm passionate about is bringing these people out of the shadows, where they're fighting to be heard above the noise, where they just they don't want to play the content volume game. They don't want to have to create a million pieces of content in order to try to build trust, and this content that may or may not be seen by their ideal audience before it disappears. And so these are the people that qualify to work with me, or that I want to speak to and continue to attract, because I do attract them, but I haven't been speaking to them. So I am now more and more focused on speaking to these people. And then the other kind of qualifier is that there is a specific moment that seems to make the most sense to join my program. Now, maybe you're not in that moment, or I have definitely had people in all sorts of on both edges of this moment. But for the most part, not people who are in an entirely different moment of their business. And what I mean by that is that, again, what I've defined, and this is what you can take away for your business, is I have defined the identity of the person, like the really core identity, not just the surface level identity. And I've defined the moment of their business that they're in. So I'm speaking to both. I'm speaking to both their identity and where they're at in their business. And for me, where they're at in their business, kind of where I'm at right now in defining this and like really figuring out, okay, my best students, where have they been in their business? Like, where are they at? And where they're at is that they have gotten results. They know their people, like they have a functioning business, but it's just not happening at the speed that they thought it would be at this point. So there's some frustration there in regards to, man, I thought it would be further ahead by now. Only because this kind of goes back to the identity piece a little bit, but it's because they want to spend their time serving and delivering. They don't want to they want to try to maximize their marketing as much as possible. And marketing isn't something that comes naturally to them. Like they've embraced that they need to learn it, and they are learning it, and they are spending time learning the business side of things. But truly where their heart really, really lies is in working with their people. And so the phase of business is that you're established, like you have a working business, you get clients, but it's just not as fast as you would like. It takes people a long time to actually feel like they know who you are. Like once they get on the phone with them, man, they're sold. But you can't get on the phone with everybody, right? And even in a one-to-many presentation, there's all sorts of challenges like show up live rates and, all sorts of challenges. So this idea that a brand video can encapsulate your magic can help people feel whether or not you are the person for them the moment they meet you. The idea that they don't have to maybe see your content, maybe not see it. We are putting the brand video all sorts of places top of funnel. It's in your email signature. It's on your website in multiple places, on your homepage, on your About Me page, on your sales page. It's pinned on the top of your socials. This is so important. When people are checking you out, that's the content that they're consuming. That's the thing that they are looking for and looking at. So this idea that we are putting this one amazing trust accelerating video in front of them the moment they meet you is magic to them, right? And so because of where they are in their business, and yes, it works for at any moment you are in your business, but this is such a critical moment because they are not like the hyper established folks who are spending tons of money on social, who have marketing teams, who are spending a lot on ads, who are where visibility is like they already have a lot of visibility. So people can easily consume a lot of their content and build trust that way, right? And so the idea is the people who most benefit from having the trust acceleration system that I teach are those people in that bucket, right? Or in that level of their business where they're established, but they don't have a marketing team. They have client results, but they don't have a marketing engine that's working for them in place. And I just want to add one thing that has kind of become, as part of that awakening and, redefining the exact people that I'm speaking to in my own marketing. And that is that I'm layering in a piece to my program that wasn't there before. So previously, I would basically teach and walk you through and do it with you how to create your brand video, how to use it. And that's in very, very short terms because it's a very robust program. But what I'm layering in now is the traffic piece, right? Because you can have the most amazing brand video, but if not enough people watch it, it's going to work, but it's not at the level that it could be working. It's kind of like having a Ferrari, but then not putting gas in the tank. It only looks so good sitting on your driveway. Like you need to drive it around. You need to be in front of other people. And so we are adding the traffic accelerator piece, which is a very, very simple traffic funnel that is fueled by ads in a very low cost way. So getting people's eyeballs onto your Instagram, getting people's eyeballs onto your Facebook. So, and then we're focusing on Meta right now. We'll probably add LinkedIn and others later, but that's like the first thing. So anyway, radical authenticity comes back to speaking your truth, not being tied down to what AI is telling you to say and how it's telling you to, like, own your freaking voice and having conviction and standing in your big idea. What is the hill that you're willing to die on, folks? What is the thing that you will bet your life on? That is the thing that I'm like so excited about bringing to the forefront in 2026. For me, that big idea, that massive thing that I will shout from the rooftops till I die is that people want to connect with you. And that once they make an instant connection with you, an instant, deep, personal, like, my gosh, connection with you, the moment they meet you, your sales cycle will be so much shorter, right? You can shorten your sales cycle if you create an immediate connection the moment that they meet you. And then how to do that is obviously what I teach. So, but the idea is that you are missing out on sales. You are making the process so much longer by not making people immediately know who you are the moment they meet you. So that's what I want to leave you with. I mean, that's my big idea. And I want to encourage you to think about what is your big idea? What is your hill that you're willing to die on? Okay. With that said, I also want to make an invitation for you. we are going to be meeting in a training. I am giving a training on Thursday. It's called The Shift: How to Accelerate Trust and Build Instant Connection in 2026. It is going through what is the heck is happening in the online space right now, and how can you break through the noise? How can you create that moment of connection? How can you set aside the burden of having to wear a content creator hat, because that's what you've been told to do, where you have to post 10 times a day, where you have to be tethered to social media, where you have to create all of this content and hope that people see it, and hope that over 6 to 12 months, they're piecing together who you are. No, you do not need to do that. This is the shortcut, and I'm going to show you what that shortcut is and how to create that instant connection, how you can become, instead of just another coach, you can become the one for your perfect person. So join me for that. You can sign up at brandmagnetic.com/theshift, brandmagnetic.com/theshift. And I will leave the link in the show notes as well. I hope this episode was inspiring for you. I hope that it made you stop and think about your big idea. What are you doing to be radically authentic? How are you showing up and really voicing your opinion, who you are? Stop using the templates. Stop using the language from AI, right? And actually, I forgot to mention this, but one of the things I just read this morning, an email from a guy called Mike Kim, who's the author of a really great book called You Are the Brand. And he mentions, or he refers to AI as Ozempic for your brain. Like, genius. Yes. Once you start using AI, it can atrophy. And listen, I'm not against using AI, but there are ways to be careful about how you're using it, especially when it comes to creating content, writing your emails, and it's your connection piece. Your voice is your connection piece. It is the radical, demonstration of who you are as a person. So don't let AI take that from you. I hope that inspires you to think about how you're using AI and how you can make sure that you're still leaning on your big ideas, speaking and standing your ground, connecting with people, getting on those ICA calls, and really being so specific and so powerful with your messaging that people can't help but pay attention. All right. Make sure that to sign up for the training on Thursday. If you're listening to this after Thursday, then sign up anyway, because there's going to be an encore. I'm just realizing this episode drops on Thursday. The training's on Thursday. So if you by chance have missed it, sign up anyway, because you'll get the link to the encore. And I cannot wait to connect with you and to see you there, because it's going to rock your world. All right, everyone. I'll see you on the next episode of Empire Secrets. Bye for now.